Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. I'm trying to make this video in less than 20 minutes. It just hasn't been working, so I'm going to try to run through this pretty quickly. The most controversial trade I have on here is the Miles Turner trade. I understand it. I'm just going to say this ahead of time. I understand both sides of the story about why teams wouldn't do this trade. But I'm only bringing it up because it works out on paper. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. So I'll explain it when I get there. But anyway, let's move into players that I think will be moved by the NBA trade deadline, because the December 15th deadline is here in the next 3 days. Players that have signed contracts in the offseason will be eligible to be traded by December 15th. And then now from basically the month of the end of December to February right now, this is trade season. And I'm going to bring up some guys that I think are going to get traded. Most of these are cap space moves, or not most of them, but at the very least, 3 of them are cap space moves. So that's what I think about this, and let's go ahead and get into it, because I have 10 names I got to go over here. So the first guy that is definitely getting traded is Cam Reddish. Over the weekend, a report came out of the New York Knicks organization that they're looking to move Cam Reddish. And supposedly they're only asking a second-round pick for Cam Reddish or a player of equal ability on a similar rookie deal. If I'm the Lakers, the Pacers, or the Miami Heat, I'm calling about this. If I'm the Clippers, I'm calling about this. Cam Reddish, I think, is a great player. He just needs to be put in the right situation. And kind of sucks for the Knicks, man. You gave up a first-round pick for Cam Reddish and you didn't even fucking play him. But that's why they need a new head coach, because Thibs doesn't fucking like Cam Reddish, but he doesn't like Cam Reddish, but he likes RJ Barrett. And RJ Barrett is shooting fucking abysmal. Not that Cam Reddish is shooting anything amazing, but Cam Reddish is shooting better than RJ Barrett is, and they need fucking offense. So yeah, they need a head coaching change. They need to get rid of they need to get rid of Thibs. They need to get rid of their GM. They just need to overhaul that entire fucking roster. So that's Cam Reddish, number 1. Number 2 is Doug McDermott. If I'm the Lakers or the Miami Heat, I'm calling about Doug McDermott. I don't understand why in the world the Lakers would be connected to Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier and not be connected to Doug McDermott. I just don't. Doug McDermott has been shooting the fucking lights out for San Antonio since he signed his contract there. And Doug McDermott's one of those guys that could warrant a first-round pick. Maybe not like a top 10 protected pick, or not like top 3, top 5 protected, but maybe top 10 protected, top 18 protected. I don't know. But Doug McDermott's one of those guys that I think could warrant a first round pick if he goes to like the right team or a team with cap space. And Doug McDermott is also one of those guys that no matter where he goes, he's going to be an immediate impact player. He's a great catch and shoot guy. When he gets in a rhythm, he is a force to be fucking reckoned with. Doug McDermott's just one of those guys that I'm like, yeah, you know what? If he goes someplace, they're going to love him, okay? I'm just going to call it what it is. Dude can shoot the lights out. Number 3 is D'Angelo Russell. The Minnesota Timberwolves are most likely going to be looking to move Russell. He's got $31.5 million left on his deal, and this is his last year of his contract. And I don't think they're going to want to let him walk for nothing. One team that I could see buying in on the D'Angelo Russell hype is the Utah Jazz, and that's only to get rid of Conley's contract, Clarkson's contract, and maybe they have to toss up a first-round pick. The first one that comes to my mind is Minnesota's 2025 first-round pick. Maybe Utah sends that back to them that they got in the Rudy Gobert trade to get D'Angelo Russell. Does that mean D'Angelo Russell's going to sign there? No, probably not. But the idea that it frees up cap space for Utah means that they could maybe go out and sign somebody. And they're a team that they have a nice young core right now, and freeing up cap space is the most important thing for them. They did get Colin Sexton, and that's another reason I like this, is the ability to let D'Angelo Russell's contract expire and then give Colin Sexton the starting point guard job. I like this. I think this is the direction Utah's going to go in. But if they could somehow land D'Angelo Russell and get rid of Conley's contract and Clarkson's contract, I like it. And plus, from the Timberwolves side of things, man, I know Russell for Conley sounds like shit, but Conley has proven that he can play. Last year, he played, I think, 70-plus games, and he's averaging like 10-7 or 10-8 a game. And I really think the Timberwolves could benefit from a point guard that's more of a playmaking pass-first point guard than a shoot-first point guard. And D'Angelo Russell, you can see it in the Minnesota Timberwolves play that, like, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, everyone anyone on the roster, as soon as D'Angelo Russell touches the fucking ball, they know he's shooting it. So the idea that they could play with somebody who could maybe open the floor up for them, maybe get them open shots, and Conley is a capable shooter. I mean, if we're being, honest right now, if we go to the Utah Jazz roster, Conley, I think, is shooting it pretty well this year. Conley is shooting 38% from three. Granted, he's only shooting 40% from the field, but he's averaging 10.5 points a game and almost 8 assists a game on 1 steal, and only averaging 1.5 turnovers. Like, he turns the ball over way less than D'Angelo Russell does. I think that could be a very huge selling point for Utah, in order to get D'Angelo Russell on their roster and dump his cap space. So I like that trade for both teams. Just saying, I like that trade. I know it sounds lopsided because, Utah getting D'Angelo Russell, but I like it for Minnesota. They really need some depth, and Clarkson adds that. So I like the Conley-Clarkson deal for Russell a lot. Number 4 is Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is a guy that the Miami Heat are going to try desperately to move. The only team I could see maybe taking him on is, once again, the Timberwolves and giving up D'Angelo Russell for him. It sounds lopsided. I don't even think the Timberwolves would do that in this case, but who knows? Kyle Lowry's only got 2 years left on his deal. He's shooting like shit this year, but he's more of a willing passer than D'Angelo Russell is, much like Mike Conley, and Kyle Lowry's a better defender, you know what I'm saying? And I think having a point guard that can defend and get other guys involved is really important for Minnesota right now, because D'Angelo Russell, I think, is just sometimes he's shot a lot better recently, but I really think like the Timberwolves are looking for somebody else to play the point guard position. I just don't like his fit with that team. I just don't like D'Angelo Russell's fit with the Timberwolves. I think Kyle Lowry or Conley, even on that team, would just be an improvement to their system as a whole. Not necessarily that they're adding a better player. I just think for their system they're trying to run, they would be better players. Number 5, who's the 5th player on this list likely to be traded? Coby White. Coby White has been fucking terrible for Chicago. I think Chicago would gladly take a 2nd-round pick for Coby White if it means they're getting rid of that $7.1 million he has left on his deal. They do not want to pay it, and some other team might. I don't know who. Maybe they'll pick up his team option or whatever, but Coby White's one of those guys that I feel Chicago's going to move regardless. Like, he's fucking bad. I don't think they're bringing him back, and at least they'll get something for him rather than nothing. Coby White's one of those guys, or he could be a part of a package deal. I don't know who, but Coby White's one of those guys I could see just not being on the Bulls anymore come the February 9th deadline. Number 6 is Reggie Jackson of the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't know who they could trade for to get Reggie Jackson off their roster. He's in the final year of his contract, which is a player option. He picked up his player option. It was worth $11.2 million. And Reggie Jackson's a guy that the Washington Wizards could really benefit from, immensely. But I don't think he's going to go there. I don't know who's going to trade for Reggie Jackson, but Reggie Jackson's one of those guys, just like Doug McDermott, going to be an immediate impact player no matter where he goes. I just don't think the Clippers are going to let him walk for nothing. I think he's too good for that. I don't know who's going to have the cap space to get him, but somebody's going to try to get him. Number 7, I love this trade. This is probably my favorite trade of the whole list. Caris Levert. And the guy that I think is going to get traded for Caris Levert from the Cavaliers is Norman Powell of the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, a lot of people might look at this and say, well, why in the fuck would the Clippers do this? I'm glad you asked, because the Clippers' biggest issue right now is cap space. The Kawhi Leonard contract is biting them in the ass. A lot of their guys are old, if I'm being honest. Okay, a lot of their guys are early 30s. And Norman Powell is 29 years old. He's 6'3" and is arguably a better shooter than Caris Levert. I think we can all agree on that. At least Norman Powell shoots the 3 better than Levert, right? But Caris Levert, I absolutely love the fit in LA for him, because I think Caris Levert's a better defender than Powell. Caris Levert can hit his automatic from mid-range. He's a great slasher. He's a year younger than Powell, and he's 3 inches taller. And on top of that, I really think that the Clippers could bring back Levert for cheaper than they brought back Norman Powell. Caris Levert is one of those guys that he reminds me of Kawhi in the sense that he does a lot of his work from mid-range. He can get to the basket. Caris Levert's a solid player. Norman Powell is one of those guys also that I just think fits Cleveland's system better than Caris Levert does. They're just two guys that if they swap teams, I think the fit would be absolutely perfect. And I know a lot of people think Norman Powell is better than Levert, and I understand that, but Levert has taken a serious step forward since getting off of the Pacers, and he's one of those dudes that I'm just like, yeah, you know what? You could plug Caris Levert into the Clippers organization and ride him to the playoffs, and then let Kawhi play and bring Caris Levert off the bench. And Levert's contract, Levert has 1 year left on his contract. Powell has 4. You know what I'm saying? And at least at the end of this year, they could bring back Levert for probably a cheaper deal, and they would at least create a little bit of cap flexibility. And you get a player who's not that bad. You know what I'm saying? I think in some instances, Caris Levert will be a better player than Norman Powell for the Clippers. Okay, I'm not saying that Caris Levert's a better player than Norman Powell. I'm simply saying for what the teams are trying to do, I just think Levert would be the better player for the Clippers than Norman Powell would. They really need a guy other than John Wall who can get to the basket. You know, Kawhi is pretty much a mid-range shooter and a three-point scorer. He can get to the basket, but, you know, he's not playing back-to-backs. Paul George is pretty much almost exclusively a 3-and-D player. John Wall can get to the basket, but they really need another guy who's capable of getting to the basket, and that's why I like Caris Levert. I think Caris Levert would do wonders for them if they just swap Powell for Levert. So that's that. Number 8 is Dario Saric. Dario Saric is a guy from the Phoenix Suns who's just not getting any burn. 1 year left on his contract. I think it's like $9.1 million. He's a guy that I expect the Miami Heat to be calling about, the Knicks to be calling about, the Lakers to be calling about. Like, he's a guy that is shown that when he gets like 20, 25 minutes a game, like anywhere from 24 to 25 a game, he's capable of shooting 30+% from three. Like, he's capable of shooting anywhere from 35 to 38% from three. And I think Saric on the right team, if he was just a stretch big, could do some damage for the right team. Number 9, this is probably the most controversial trade here. We're finally getting into that Indiana Pacers trade, and this is Miles Turner. Miles Turner is the 9th player on this list that I expect to be moved by the deadline, and it comes with a stipulation, though, because it includes Buddy Hield, but at the same time, like, it really depends on what the Pacers' record is come the trade deadline. If the Pacers are below a 500 basketball team come the trade deadline, one trade that I think they could do that would get accepted, and I understand both sides of it, like I said in the beginning of the video, I understand from both perspectives why the teams would not do this trade. Okay, I really do. It just works out on paper, and that's the reason I put this in here. And that trade is Miles Turner, Chris Duarte, and Buddy Hield to the Warriors for James Wiseman, Klay Thompson, a 2026 first-round pick, and a 2023 first-round pick. And the reason I say this is because you're basically trading Miles, Duarte, and Buddy for Klay and 2 firsts, and you're basically getting Wiseman for free. Listen, we'll get a chance to get James Wiseman. I think James Wiseman's a guy that has the ability to be a good player. I just don't think the Warriors are the right situation for him. I think the Warriors are in win-now mode, and I don't think Wiseman fits that timeline for them. I understand they sent Wiseman down to the G League, which makes him even easier to trade for, but the Pacers are not in win-now mode, okay? The Warriors are. We have Tyrese Halliburton, who's 21, right? Everyone on our team is young, and on top of it, it's like, yeah, we're sending Duarte over there, but Duarte's been playing like shit this year. He's 25 years old. Maybe they can teach Chris Duarte to be like Klay Thompson, but Klay Thompson's making $40 million a year. Okay, I understand it from a contract perspective. He's got 2 years left on his deal, but Klay is a guy that at least when he comes in, he'll provide another veteran presence. I get it, you know. He's not Buddy Hield. I understand everybody likes Buddy Hield. I like Buddy Hield, but I just think this is a chance for us to truly do a decent rebuild. We'll get another first-round pick in 2023, which we can use to draft whoever. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be a Warriors pick, but we also get a 2026 first-rounder out of it. And honestly, Miles is probably not going to come back anyway. I'm just going to call it what it is. If we're not a 500 basketball team or above a 500 basketball team by the All-Star break, I do not think Miles Turner's coming back. I just don't. Miles Turner has shown this year that he's capable of being a true center. And someone's probably going to offer him more money than us. I don't know who, but I just feel like somebody's going to break out their checkbook for Miles Turner, and it's not going to be us. And at least if we get Wiseman, we have that replacement. You know, we're basically swapping Buddy for Clay, Miles for Wiseman, and, you know, we're getting a first-round pick plus another first-round pick for Duarte. You know, so that's why I think that. Trust me, it's not the greatest trade in the world. Even I think it's a little fucked up. Like, even I'm just kind of like, would the team really do this trade? You know what I'm saying? But it works out on paper. That's the only reason I brought it up. I am in no way, shape, or form serious about this trade. Okay, this is just an idea, something to stimulate the masses, get the juices flowing for people to maybe think about. Because if anybody on the Warriors is getting traded, it's Klay Thompson. Okay, and James Wiseman. Those are the two players that I think are definitely getting fucking traded. So that's the whole reason that trade exists. So that's number 9. And number 10 is Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder has $10.1 million left on his contract. Someone's going to trade for him. I don't know who, but it's a 1-year deal. And on top of it, like, he doesn't want to be in Phoenix. So Phoenix is probably going to... I would say they would trade him to somebody for a second-round pick, or, you know, a player of equal ability who's maybe a little younger. I don't know who. Like, I don't have anybody off the top of my head, but there's teams that could use Jay Crowder. Don't get me wrong. There's teams out there that could really use Jay Crowder, and I feel like he's a guy that'll be moved by the trade deadline, because he's a solid player. It's just he doesn't want to be in Phoenix anymore, and I completely understand why. So anyway, guys, that's it for me. Tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. Helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.